Okay, here we go. Um, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Taryn Watts, and I am the founder of the Mind Rebel Academy. We train and support world-class coaches to step into their life's work. And I'm also the creator of the Mind Rebel Method, which is a self-discovery framework that is truly transforming the way that people not only coach, but the way they lead and parent and connect with one another all over the globe. There are actually many Mind Rebel practitioners and coaching in our space today. Hello, everyone. And I'd love for you to actually share in the chat in your own words how this methodology has impacted your life and what you use it for, because it really is, there's so many different aspects of this methodology that you can use in your life. And we're just going to carve out a sliver of it today that has to do with your life vision. So a few housekeeping before we dive in. All right, so for those of you who've been in spaces with me before, you know that we do spirit fingers. So when something deeply resonates with your soul, maybe it's something I shared with you or something that just like rings so true in your soul. If you can throw up the spirit fingers so that I know and I see you and I can feel that landed with you, that resonated with you, it helps me to connect with you throughout this process. If you have any questions or comments, please put it in the chat. I'm hopeful that there'll be time for questions at the end, but I have a lot to share with you today, so there might not be. However, I'm going to post a Q&A thread in the Facebook group after this, so that if there are any questions that didn't get answered or any questions that come up after today's session, you could post it there, and I'm either going to bring it into tomorrow's session or I'll do a live video for you in the Facebook group and answer it and to answer any questions that you might have. So if you haven't already joined the Mind Rebels private Facebook group, Kaylee, if you can put that in the chat just so that people can join that so we can continue this discussion and we can continue to support you even after this session. All right, so the Mind Rebel method is, it's really an approach to life. It is a powerfully simple, yet there is an enormous amount of depth and layers to it. So for the next 2 days, we're going to look at this little slice of the methodology as it relates to two things. First, getting clearer on the biggest, boldest, most breathtaking vision you could create for your life. Does that give anyone goosebumps inside? Yes. And two, how can you use this approach with the tools I'm going to teach you today and tomorrow to magnetically and powerfully close the gap from where you are today, right here today, to where you want to be? Having a vision for your life is a creative process that's always changing and always evolving forward. So for all of the MRA alumni here who've already done this work quite intensely in the Mind Rebel practitioner training, I invite you to revisit the vision statements and the roadmap that you crafted and walked away with at the end of your training. And you might even find that a lot of it is here. You've arrived in many aspects of it. Right? A lot of it might have already come to fruition, and you might start to tap into these new ones brewing inside your heart, which is what I hope to invite you into today. If you've never done this work with me before, I'm so excited, and you're in for a real treat. This is a taste of the deep work we do in part 1 of the Mind Rebel Coach Training series, which is called the Mind Rebel Practitioner Training. Whether or not you desire to become a coach, our practitioner training is open to anyone who wants to more deeply integrate this way, this approach, this methodology in dedication and reverence to the greatest vision you could hold for your life. And inside that training, my team and I teach you how to self-coach, essentially, so that you can stay the path, stay the course, and align your choices and your decisions and your actions in the direction of what you want to create for this one life you have to live. And in the process of deeply integrating it in your own life and applying these principles in your own life, You're also taught how to do it with others, right? Whether it be clients or friends or family, children, aging parents, employees, colleagues, your delivery will change depending on who you're holding space for. But these transformative tools and principles can be used on absolutely anyone. So before we dive in, with that, all that being said, we have a cohort beginning in 4 weeks, and this program is open to all. There are a few spots left. Please reach out to me or DM me or flip me an email if you're interested in learning more. So if any point in these 2 days you're feeling the call, you're feeling pulled, we are opening up our arms to our next round of what we call soulmate students, the humans we are meant to serve and support and activate. And I'd love to connect with you if you feel called. Okay, let's talk about this concept of a life vision. I am really guilty of using big, fluffy, coachy words like vision and yearnings and potential and desires. And that's because sometimes this work is really hard to put into words. It really, really is. But I'm going to try. Here is what I believe to be true about every single one of us here. There is a dream inside your heart, brewing inside your heart, a yearning for something more. That's why you're here with me today inside a vision casting workshop, I'm sure, right? Is to breathe life into those dreams. And here's the thing. Sometimes those dreams are not only challenging to put into words, but actually quite scary to even admit to ourselves. It's like we know there's something deep inside, and it can be scary to say it out loud and to even put it in a journal or put it in writing. Why is that? Right? Think about that. Fear of failure, putting yourself out there, not feeling good enough, feeling guilty or shameful for wanting more. Oh, I'm really guilty of that one. Right? Not having enough, like fill in the blanks, time, money, support, help, not being enough. Let's call these limiting beliefs dream crushers, because that's what they are. They are dream crushers. And each and every one of them are rooted in some type of fear, shame, scarcity, lack, or not enoughness. I'd actually love for you to, in the chat, go ahead and share some of your dream crushers that come to mind. Just go ahead and share those in the chat. Ingrid saying, getting stuck in survival mode. Yes. Anyone else? No one will want this. Fear of losing financial stability, imposter syndrome, fear of change, comparison, worry about money, not having enough support or resources, feeling undeserving. Yeah, time limitations, not enough money or energy to bring projects to end. What will people think? Upper limit. No one wants to hear from me. Does this sound familiar? Like we all have them. Every single one of us here, we all have them. You see, we can't explore breathtaking dreams without shining a light on the thoughts and the beliefs that stifle them, that dismiss them, that shrink them, right? That crush them altogether. When these limiting beliefs are brought into our awareness, we can begin to see them for what they are, and we can also begin to challenge them and even replace them with empowered beliefs to help us and empower us to take those courageous steps forward despite the fears holding us back. I am not a believer in fearlessness. I don't know if that even exists. If it does, that's not me. I am riddled with fear, riddled with it. And I think that's why I've been able to create a methodology that helps to take the fear and take it by the hand and move forward anyway, so that that's not holding you back anymore. Okay, on a piece of paper in front of you, I want you to write down the words in the center of a piece of paper. I want you to write down the words, my big, bold, breathtaking life vision. I'm going to show you mine. I was doing this. I was doing my doodle before we got on the call. So here's what it kind of looks like. Just in the center of the paper, my big, bold, breathtaking life vision. Over the course of these next 2 days, I invite you to use this as a doodle page, as just this creative doodle page. That's why I said the markers might be fun. I'm going to be leading you to a place inside of yourself that is oozing with creativity and connection to your deepest wisdom within. It's the part of you that dreams and that has access to the big, bold, breathtaking vision for your life. So throughout these next couple days, as inspiration comes, let it flow through you. Get creative. Just start doodling it all down here. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you there's going to be a step 2 to this process, but for now, you're just kind of collecting all of your thoughts and what those aspects of your vision could be. Okay, so that's on page 1. On a separate page, I want you to write down my dream crushers. Okay, so I've got my dream crushers here. And anytime I'm about to do something stretchy, such as what I'm doing right now, my limiting beliefs get very, very, very activated. And undoubtedly, throughout this process of dreaming, you are going to become painfully aware of the limiting beliefs coming up in your mind. As they come up, write them down. So I'll share some of them that came up for me. No one really cares what you have to say. You aren't strong enough. You will be judged. It's all been said and done before. You aren't special. It's too good to be true. You can't have it all. You don't have it what it takes. It's too risky. Who do you think you are anyway? Right? Like, it can go on. It's not very kind, but we're going to put it there. We're going to put it on there. Yes, I see some spirit fingers there. This is the voice of what I call your rebel mind. And your rebel mind, there is a rebel mind that lives inside of each and every one of us. It's the part of you that would love nothing else than for you to stay small and cozy and safe and never grow beyond your comfort zone, no matter how painful it might be. It's the part of you that is trying to keep you safe and protected from risks and harm. For me today, it was the part of me that didn't want to be seen. As we explore the fears coming up in this process, see if your rebel mind begins to take on a shape or a form. So in the Mind Rebel Practitioner Training, we create personas for a rebel mind. So I want to invite you to see if one comes up for you in the next 2 days. This is a process called metacognition, where you're using a metaphor to become aware of your thought process. You're actually removing yourself. I'm able to remove myself from all of these limiting beliefs here, these dream crushers, and put it into a metaphor of my rebel mind. So I will, let me give you an example. So here's an example of my own internal world. So over the years, I've actually created two personas inside of me that represent a lot of my dream crushing beliefs. So the first is my rebel mind, who is my 4-year-old self. Her name is Titi. That was my nickname when I was growing up. And she is terrified. She is exhausted. I've actually even created really, really, really rich imagery and developed this really intimate relationship and understanding of her so that I can be aware of when she's activated within me. So I actually imagine her when she's activated and large and in charge in my life. She's dug this hole in the ground and it's like a bunker. She's taking cover. She thinks that something bad's about to happen. If I put myself out there, something bad will happen. It's not safe to be seen. It's not safe to be heard. It's not safe to dream big, right? When my rebel mind's driving the bus, I actually just want to hide. I want to cancel it all. I don't want to show up. I don't want to be seen. I don't trust my wisdom. I don't trust those dreams are possible for my life. I don't trust my next steps. I don't trust myself to stretch beyond my comfort zone. I just want to stay small and hidden and unseen and safe. Now, in your own self-discovery of your personas, as you start to think about this a little bit more, you might also discover what's called a guard. And the guard may represent more emotionally charged feelings like resentment, judgment, anger, jealousy, righteousness, spite. You see how those emotions are a little bit different than my 4-year-old who's just terrified of the world. So I imagine this other persona of my guard, and she's actually the visual for her is Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. So if any of you have seen Game of Thrones, you'll know who Brienne of Tarth is, and she is this fierce warrior. She is so, so, so fierce. And her sole mission in life is to protect Titi, to protect that rebel mind. In fact, she's the one who built the bunker and put her in there and is guarding the gate, right? And she's saying, you're too weak for this, but I've got this. And there she is with her armor and her sword, and she's scanning the outside environment for threats or any signs of disharmony. And off she goes when she is large and in charge, when she is driving the bus of my life, right? Off she goes with people pleasing, contingency planning, hyper controlling, micromanaging, worrying and worrying and worrying and spiraling in circles and circles. That's how I imagine her. When my guard is driving the bus, I am hyper vigilant about the opinions of others. I'm not trusting my intuition. I'm not trusting the process. I'm annoyed by things like inefficiencies and things that are wasting my time. I'm not thinking clearly, and I'm untrusting of people and things around me. So that's kind of like, imagine these as lenses of the world when when these beliefs take hold. And you can see how powerful it is to have these personas, to be able to name, oh, I'm in my guard right now. Oh, I'm in my rebel mind right now, right? We aren't pushing parts of ourselves down and pretending like they aren't there. It's not going to work. They're there. They are parts of us, right? We're not pushing those things down. We're actually inviting them into this process. As the Buddha would say, we are inviting our fears to come have tea with us rather than shutting them out when they knock on your door. Through this process, when those limiting beliefs come up and bubble up, put them down on your dream crushers, and again, see if any personas emerge from you for you during this process. All right, so now that so knowing that limiting beliefs are a completely natural and healthy part of this process. Let's start to tap into and doodle the biggest, boldest dream you could create for your life today. So go back to that first page. And for a few moments here, I invite you to unapologetically allow yourself to write down the wildest, biggest, juiciest elements of your life vision. Give yourself permission to dream so big here. And it might not be clear at first, and that's okay. This is a creative process, and it will become clearer throughout the course of the next several days. Think about, what do you want to experience? Yes, Carrie, you can definitely put down specific things that you want. What do you want to achieve? Why do you want to achieve those things? What's at the heart of that? What do you desire to do? How will you feel when you're in that vision? What do you most deeply value in your life? Again, just let yourself go here, just doodling it out, words, goals, whatever is coming to you. Let's dig a little bit deeper in this exploration by tapping into your yearnings, because these are the things that lead us to the greatest vision for our lives. And yearnings run deeper than like a desire or a goal or a milestone or a want. A yearning is defined as, is the dictionary defines it as, this intense longing for something. So think about something that you want. Maybe it's a dream, the dream house or the dream job. So that's the kind of the surface level want. But let's go deeper, let's actually peel that back, go deeper beneath the layers and get to the heart of the yearning. So just to give you an example, when the dream house was part of my vision statement before we actually moved into the dream house, the want was a beautiful home. The yearn was a feeling of, oh my goodness, I can just even tap into it now, this feeling of spaciousness, of my outer world, mirroring my inner world. A feeling of safety and expansiveness and sanctuary and joy, deep connection with my family, being surrounded by nature. Those were all like the deeper yearnings underneath the, I want to find my dream house. Does that make sense? So invite yourself to go a little bit deeper into the yearnings and get to those juicy feelings. Mel, I want to answer your question. Should this align specifically with the big life vision? Mel, at this stage, this is like your thought bubble. It can be absolutely anything that's coming up. If it's not feeling like this is making sense as it relates to the life vision, just put it down. I think that as we move through this process, the pieces will start to come together, but just let yourself completely go inside this part of the exploration. You know, no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you are in your 20s or your 70s, it's never too late or too early to dream. Maybe the dream or the yearn is to launch a wildly successful business, or maybe it's to more deeply impact those you love and serve, or maybe it's just to finally access an inner state of deep peace that you feel like you've been searching for all your life. Maybe it's that, or maybe it's a combination of all those things, or something completely different. Only you know, only you have the blueprint, like that unique blueprint on your heart. Only you know. And those yearnings, right? Sometimes we can't even quite name what it is that we desire, like what we want. Maybe it is more like a feeling. Maybe it's like more excitement, deeper connection, a feeling of accomplishment, or wanting to have outlets of creative expression, or wanting to feel free and abundant, wanting to feel desired and adored, wanting connection, adventure, love, wonder. Those are all those yearnings. Write down whatever is coming up for you, and don't let reason or logic disrupt your process. Just let it stream. When I first began committing myself to this particular kind of visioning process, I was inside the corporate world, 9 to 5, feeling really, really stuck inside of a job that was slowly sucking the life out of me. I worked with the most incredible humans, some of whom are here today with us. I worked with the most extraordinary humans, but I was not passionate about the work. I was clocking in, clocking out, doing my time. And I remember having almost these out of body experiences in meeting rooms where I'd look around the table and think, oh my goodness, everyone around this table is so passionate about what we're talking about, except me. I just feel like I don't belong here. I don't fit. And I stayed there for almost a decade, not fitting, right? But even still, somewhere deep in the depths of my being, my dreams were being planted, and ever so slowly, like so slowly, they were sprouting and taking form. I was inside this incredible internal battle with my rebel mind. She was so terrified right? She tried every tactic in the book to crush those dreams. Fear of failure, shame for wanting something more than what I was lucky to have. You're putting your family, at that time my babies were 1 and 2 at the time, right? You're putting your family in danger by dreaming this big. This is selfish. But what I yearned for was something beyond a job. I yearned for a vocation, for meaning, for life's work, for impact, for creative self-expression. I wanted to create change. Frederick Buchner, I'm not sure if that's actually how you pronounce his last name, but he defines vocation as, okay, get ready for this. He defines vocation as the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. I'll repeat that one more time because it's so deep. The place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. And when I dreamed of the work that I wanted to do in the world, which at that time was coaching, did that ever make me feel glad? I wanted to fill my precious hours up with work that made me feel alive, that inspired me, where I felt free to express myself creatively, where I was in charge of my own income potential, where I could create massive levels of impact and change simply by being who I am and using the natural gifts of what I am. I wanted to get my kids on and off the bus every day, to sit down for family dinners together every night without feeling rushed or frazzled after a crazy day at the office and a long commute home. To be so fulfilled in my work that my joy spilled over into how I mother my children and how I connected with my husband. I desired to show my family, my kids and my husband in particular, those I love most, what it looked like to allow yourself to dream and take fear by the hand and step by step by step, move forward anyway. And at that time, I didn't necessarily have a model for what that looked like in the world. I didn't come from a household of entrepreneurs. That was not what we did here. I didn't have a model for what that looked like in the world. And when my vision started to really take shape in my mind and I was starting to develop my vision statement, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, it felt like a bunch of contradictions and impossibilities. It was so big. It was so massive from where I was. When I would share my dreams with others, right, what I would get back is I would receive their opinion of what they believed was possible for my life. And if they didn't share it directly with me, their opinion directly with me, their faces would say it all. They'd be like, you want to do what? You want to leave the government of Canada to be a life coach? Really? Right? And every time they projected that back to me, I would shrink back into my little bunker. I would shrink right back. I used to have this desktop picture of that quote I shared at the beginning of our session today, for those of you who saw it. And the desktop picture was this woman looking, she was standing on a cliff, looking out beyond the horizon, the ocean beyond. And the quote said, what if I fall? And underneath that it said, oh, my darling, but what if you fly? What I yearned for was big and small all at the same time. I wanted to build an empire and be a homemaker. I wanted to share my voice and gifts with the whole wide world and live a life of solitude and peace with my family tucked away in our forest. I wanted to build a thriving business so that my husband could be free to leave his dangerous construction job and follow his passions and not burn out in the process. I wanted to move our family into our dream home that felt like an oasis and not be a slave to my work to pay for it all. So you can imagine me sitting in my little cubicle, daydreaming about this big, bold, beautiful life, staring at my desktop background, feeling like the woman in that picture, just on the edge, praying and hoping for the tipping point where the fire inside would be greater than the grip my little TT, my little rebel mind had on me. No one is going to want to listen to what you have to say. By following this dream, you're putting your babies at danger. Again, my babies are 1 and 2 at this time. This is selfish. You should feel grateful for what you have. Those were all the creepy crawly thoughts. And what's really interesting is every time my dream evolves and expands and up levels, it's the same. It's the same. It doesn't change. It's the same pattern. It's the same thoughts. It's the same. I just recognize them much quicker now. I want to share an excerpt from the book. It's called Courage to Teach, from Parker J. Palmer, that spoke and soothed my rebel mind fears every time I dared to dream a little bit bigger and shine a little bit brighter. Here we go. In a culture that sometimes equates work with suffering, it is revolutionary to suggest that the best inward sign of a vocation is deep gladness. Revolutionary, but true. If a work is mine to do, it will make me glad over the long haul, despite the difficult days. Even the difficult days will ultimately gladden me, because they pose the kinds of problems that can help me grow in a work if it is truly mine. If a work does not gladden me in these ways, I need to consider laying it down. When I devote myself to something that does not flow from my identity, that is not integral to my nature, I am most likely deepening the world's hunger rather than helping to alleviate it. The day where I finally drew a line in the sand and decided no more. No more was I going to betray those yearnings inside my heart, was only 5 years ago. And in those 5 years, I have relentlessly dedicated my life to developing this approach of walking the path towards my greatest vision, my yearnings as my guide, inviting both my rebel mind and my garden for tea, sitting with them, feeling the discomfort, moving through them, choosing again over and over and over and over again. Every single one of those pieces in my vision have come to fruition. And I can honestly say that most days, when we're not all stuck at home with COVID, like we've been for the last several weeks, but most days, my life absolutely takes my breath away. And I know that this is possible for you too, because I've seen it time and time and time again. Now, notice as you dream what may be coming up for you here in the Dream Crusher page. Let's invite it for tea, very gently, very safely. Hello, fears. Hello, I see you. There is this commonality between every single one of us here that boils down to this universal truth. We all, every single one of us, have these deep yearnings inside of us, because it's actually these deep yearnings that move us forward to grow. And we're always growing and evolving. If we're not, we're stuck, right? And so we all have, whether we have accessed them or not, we all have these deep, deep yearnings inside of us. And we've got that, and we all have these pesky beliefs rooted in lack or scarcity or not enoughness or fear that seem to get in the way. And we want to shine a light of awareness on both the deeper yearnings of our soul and the limiting beliefs that hold us back, right? We want to shine a spotlight and bring both of those things to the light. disrupting the patterns and the cycles of behavior that prevent us from taking steps forward, towards those deeper yearnings requires, quite honestly, it requires an internal uprising. It does, right? It requires a declaration that no longer will this fear or this lack of self-confidence or this smallness or these excuses prevent you from trusting that still, small, unwavering voice inside. The one that's knowingness or wisdom feels like it carries this ancient wisdom that sometimes defies reason or understanding or logic. And this voice that I'm trying to orient you all towards lives in the deepest part of your being. And that's the part of you that yearns you forward, that guides you, that nudges you, that whispers to you. In fact, I truly believe that our single purpose in this life is to get still enough to hear that and brave enough to let it be our guide. This fire leads to a rebellion inside. Following these yearnings will require you to take inspired action in your life, right? Of course, we need to identify the yearnings and then actually put this into action, because action is required to break the cycle, to follow your heart, to create boundaries that might actually piss people off and let other people down, right? To choose you and to choose your vision above all else, to break free from the norms of society, to break free from what you thought you ought to do or ought to dream about or ought to create in your life, to go against the grain and take that path less traveled. Tomorrow, we are going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to create the plan. We're going to start to create the plan on how to close the gap. We're going to really get into that forward action movement tomorrow, from where you are today, right here, right now, to where you desire to be in that vision, no matter how big the gap is. I'm telling you, when I created my first vision, the gap was scary big. And that was only 5 years ago. It was massive. So you've got 2 pieces of homework tonight or today. I invite you to spend more time on the 2 pages that we started today. I'm actually going to even post mine in the Mind Rebel group. I'm going to post mine so you can see and get some inspiration in there. So the first page again is my big, bold, breathtaking life vision. Continue your doodle, continue to dream, continue to allow those pieces to come together. And then have your other page nearby, because as you dream, those pesky limiting beliefs will surface. And what we want to do is we want to really identify them. We want to see them. We want to bring them to the light. We want to know that, oh, those are my dream crushers coming up. And if you, as you're looking at your dream crushers, think about, is there a persona or a character of some kind that is coming up for you that could represent these dream crushers, whether it's like a rebel mind or a guard, kind of like how I described it today. But is there a persona that kind of, it helps to give you a metaphor for what these limiting beliefs represent? Have fun with this. This is going to be like a fun, creative process. So we are going to be continuing this conversation in the Mind Rebel Facebook group. So I'm actually going to invite you to share your reflections from today's session in there. And right after this session, there's going to be a Q&A thread posted in there. So if you have any questions that came up through this process, put it in the Q&A thread. And I will either bring that into the next session tomorrow, or I'll do a personal live video for you, a live training video for you in the Facebook group, answering your questions specifically. Okay. I want to invite you all to close down your eyes for a minute. As long as you're not driving. Close down your eyes if it's safe to do so, or lower your gaze. And just breathing deeply into your belly. And orienting inward towards your body. Just doing a little bit of a body scan and locating. When you think about that dream, that vision for your life, where does it live in your body? Go ahead and place your hands over that area. For me, it lives in my heart. Just breathing into that space. And as we quiet down all the noise together here, let's give that internal wisdom that lives inside of you a microphone for a second. It has a message for you. Let it speak. What does it want you to know? Don't overthink it. Trust it. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes and write that down. And as a way to anchor out, I would love to invite anyone to share what that wisdom is for you. If you feel comfortable, just raise your hand or unmute yourself to share. Or you could put it in the chat and I'll read it out loud for you. Megan Malone.
Hey, Taryn Watts.
Hi.
Yeah, it was in my heart too, for sure. And what came through was just, you've got this, and it's going to be even more magical than you can even dream of today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Megan. Allison.
You're on the right track.
Yes, you are, Allison.
It was in my gut. Sorry, yeah. That's where I feel it. You're on the right track.
Beautiful. Would anyone else like to share? Emmy.
Hi.
Hi.
Mine was in my heart as well. And the first thing that came up, and it came up really quickly, was you can have it all. Yeah, powerful.
Very, very powerful. Thank you, Emmy. Samia, am I pronouncing your name correctly, Samia?
Yeah, you got it. It's
beautiful.
Thank you. Mine seemed, so my spot was my heart as well. And it sounds really simple, but it's just that you can do this. Just like wherever I am right now, I can get past this enormous hump that I feel like I'm behind, and I can do this. I can move past it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Art, would you like to share?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Glad to be here. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Very well.
So it was in my heart as well, and I think that's I think this type of thing is where it comes from, right? But the words that came to my mind immediately were "let me out."
Oh, wow.
So apparently there's something in there that needs to get out,
That's exciting.
right?
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Art.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mel.
So mine was a like whole torso situation, from like my heart to my gut to all of the vibes in that central part of my body. And I just was told that I am capable.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Mel. Alina.
Oh, yes, hi. Mine actually, I felt it in my throat. I felt a lot of just like buzzing and tingling in my throat. And what came up and what I heard was simply, I am okay. Like, I'm okay.
Isn't it amazing how loudly our bodies speak to us and how it just truly lives inside of our bodies? And when we quiet it down, it's there. That wisdom is there, always waiting for us to listen. Thank you for that, Alina. Crystal.
Mine was also in my heart, and it immediately said, you deserve it, and you already have everything you need.
Thank you. Yolanda.
Mine was 3 sentences with an emphasis on a particular word. The 3 sentences were, you are heart-centered, you are heart-living, allow your heart to lead you. And I feel like the emphasis was on allow, like I'm not allowing my heart to lead me. I already know I'm heart-centered, I'm heart-living, and I need to allow my heart to lead me.
Wow. Powerful. You guys are giving me all the shivers. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Whew. Don't waste your precious life. I have big things planned for you. It's okay. It is correct to move forward. Wow. My dream is in my heart, and my heart is saying, I'm here, you've got this, keep taking these steps, whether they are big or small, with terrifying courage. I can do this. I just have to keep going. It's not too big. I was made to do this. You are as bright as your dreams. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you so, so, so much for sharing your hearts with me today, and for allowing me to share this work with you all. This is what, even though I had a lot of rebel mind fears leading up to this, which I usually do, when I'm in this with you and when I'm connecting with you in this way, this is my work. This is my vocation. And it's just it's a deep honor to hold this space for you all. I really hope to connect with you in the Facebook group after this. Please feel free to post any questions that are coming up for you, and I'd love to support you with that. And I hope to see you all tomorrow for part 2 of our vision casting workshop. I'm sending you all torrents of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.